Hi everybody, my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine, and I'm super excited to share with you an Afghan recipe for Chapli Kebabs. This is one of my family's favorite recipes and we are going to be making a lot today, 4 pounds of ground beef, so do check the description box below for modifications for a smaller amount. I'm using 8515 lean ground beef and 2 bunches of cilantro chopped up into like coarse pieces. You can do this more finely chopped, but I don't recommend putting everything into a blender. I tried that the first time and it sort of changed the texture of the chapli kebabs and it wasn't as appetizing. So this does take quite some time. I'm going to keep those scraps for my compost bin. Next, we can use about 1 serrano pepper per pound of beef. I am going to use gloves because those serranos were quite spicy, and if you know, you know. So do use some gloves or try not to touch the interior of the serrano peppers. I did remove the seeds, but if you can tolerate them and you want that extra spice, then absolutely you may leave them in. But you do want to chop them up as finely as you can. Again, keeping those scraps for my compost bin as well. Next, we're going to cut up some tomatoes. I am de-seeding them, but I do actually like to keep the seeds in on occasion. But for this recipe, I am going to remove the seeds, and I didn't have quite as many tomatoes as I would have liked. 1 large tomato per pound is pretty good, or 2 small tomatoes per pound. These red onions are quite large, so I'm going to use 1 large red onion per 2 pounds or 1 small onion per pound of ground beef. You can also mix in a little bit of ground lamb to your chapli kebabs. We've done that before and my family really enjoys it. You want to dice your red onions as finely as possible. This is just going to be more pleasant once the chapli kebabs are cooked. I'm going to put those red onion skins into a separate bag rather than my compost bin for some fabric dyeing later. Next, it's time to work on the spices. I have 2 tablespoons of ground coriander. That's about 1.5 teaspoons per pound. I'm going to put this into my little grinder for spices. I'm also going to add some coriander seeds. Next, we're going to add some garam masala, and I'm approximating per pound, so do check the recipe in the description box below for any modifications. If you don't want it too spicy, either use a more mild Kashmiri chili or just substitute the chili entirely for paprika. Chapli kebabs are pretty spicy and that's the way we like them, but if you don't want them spicy, you can certainly omit some of the spicier spices or omit the serrano peppers and use jalapenos instead. I did not have enough room for everything to my little grinder, so I'm going to add the salt directly into the mix, but most of the spices I used were already pre-ground, so you can just put those directly into your ground beef mixture and just use your grinder for the whole seeds. I'm going to add all of those spices in. It seems like a lot, but this is a very flavorful kebab and you do want a lot of those flavors as well as the cilantro and the onions, everything mixed together. It didn't all fit in the bowl, so I got this large pan to mix everything together. Now, of course, you could cook this right away. You could add 1 egg and some flour to bind it, but I omitted those 2 things and it cooked it just fine. You can chill it for about 2 hours and up to 24 hours, and this allows all of the flavors to kind of meld together. And now it's time to form our chapli kebabs. We want them really thin. Our family likes them really thin and kind of crispy around the edges, but you can find a cooking method that's going to work best for your tastes. I'm going to kind of prep them ahead of time because once the cooking process starts, it's a pretty rapid process, but you do want them pretty thin. I have a really large pan and I'm adding a lot of grapeseed oil or any neutral oil. We are basically frying these and it does take just a few minutes on both sides, and you're going to see that they get pretty brown around the edges. Now, my family likes it this way. I prefer them a little bit less cooked around the edges because that sometimes impacts the flavor, but if you go to any Afghan restaurant, you're going to find that they are pretty cooked and fried up all around the edges. Next, we're going to plate this onto some rice. There are a couple of different rice recipes that I want to share with you. You can find them in the description box below. This is a very simple zira rice that has cumin seeds, or you could do a plain white rice as well. This is such a hit, and it does hold up pretty well if you want to serve it to company. Not all recipes translate to bulk production when you're having company, but this was such a hit. This is a family favorite and a favorite with our guests. I hope you'll check out the blog post that accompanies this video, where you can find the complete recipe, modifications, photos, and other video tutorials in this series. You can find the link to that blog post in the description box below. And if you'd like to see what we're cooking on a daily basis, you can find me on my website at pepperandpine.com.